Working in construction essentially means trying to keep track of 1,000 different things at one time. And if you miss something, it can have serious financial, reputational, and even safety consequences when not done correctly. Now, one of the most important tools we've used traditionally and still do is what we call the register. A register is only good if it actually gets used and it is actually kept up to date. And I know from my experience as a project manager, the first thing that can often slip when you get very busy and tied up with everything else that goes along with managing and running projects is keeping the register up to date. And that's when you suddenly realize that it was last week you're supposed to submit the price for a variation, and now you've missed that opportunity to claim that. Or you may have forgotten to respond to an RFI, and all of a sudden you realize that work is happening on site tomorrow. Not good situations to find yourself in. Now, here at Contractor OS, fundamentally what we're trying to do is run construction projects better with the help of AI. And in today's video, what I'm going to share with you is how you can make the most of scheduled tasks and routines to keep things like your registers up to date. And then on top of that, how you can create for yourself a viewer that allows you to be able to understand, maintain, and generally better run your day through the use of a dashboard. So first things first, a scheduled task or a routine are two things that are in Claude. So a scheduled task is something that runs in cowork and is connected to a folder. A routine is run in code and can be stored on the cloud, which means that it can run essentially when your laptop's closed, whereas a scheduled task inside of cowork, your computer must be on for that to actually trigger and run. So both of them operate within a folder, and the cool thing about that is that you can pull in context from a folder as well as post your registers to what we would call a structured database. Now, in this instance, there are a number of structured databases we can use for registers, but one of my favorite ones is Airtable. Now, if we jump across here is Airtable, and this is a very basic setup of what a correspondent or document control register could look like. And essentially, it's going to be split into your different projects so you can organize in that way, and also split out into the different topics that you're going to be interested in, as well as status and whose ball and court it is. So essentially who's responsible for the next response, so you know what you need to be doing and what you're waiting on from others as well. And the last activity, questions and likes. Very general correspondence log, and we've got that across variations, payment claims, notices, submittals, etc., as well as just a general correspondence log where we can keep a track of these things. Now, this is all fairly standard stuff that a document controller may go through, but the hardest part about it is keeping it up to date. And so what I'm going to show you now is the scheduled task that I currently have set up that keeps this up to date. Now, first things first, I'm just going to jump into my inbox here, and you can see there's 2 or 3 emails that are sitting in here that haven't been processed yet. So let's go through and organize them now so they essentially become tracked. Now, if we jump back into Claude here, this is a run that I've done earlier, but what I want to do is show you how I set up that scheduled task. So if I come across here to scheduled, you can see my scheduled task that I run. This is the one I've created for the correspondence update. And I've kept it very simple because I actually built a skill that has all the instructions and reference files built into it. So Claude can go through my inbox and know exactly what to do. And setting one of these up is very simple. If I'm back in scheduled task, new task, I like to do it manually, set up manually. And then what that does is essentially give you a screen that looks like this, where you can name it, add the description, and then put in the prompt to go through. Now, the skill is the prompt in this case, which means it's a very, very short run the correspondence ingest skill. Super easy. And I have that to run daily at 4 a.m. You can pick how often you'd like that to run, but for me, that is fine for now. So what I'm going to do is go run now, just because it's not 4 a.m. thankfully, and we can go through and see what that does. So that kicked it off. Now let's view this process going ahead. It's going to take a couple of minutes here to essentially check my inbox. And while it's doing that, I'll quickly go into the customize section, skills, and here's the correspondence ingest skill. Now, it does have a bunch of reference files beneath it and scripts that it runs to essentially be able to pull the information most efficiently and know what to do with it. Claude will help you set these up as you create the skills itself. But what we do for that is we have a community called Contractor OS where you can come in here into the classroom section and you can download over 40 of these workflows that we've pre-built for you. So essentially our core goal in here is to make sure you can get AI that's genuinely useful for you, giving you meaningful results as fast as possible by just downloading, uploading these and customizing them to your own workflows and your own skill set. Along with that, we also have some foundational work to get you started and unlimited one-on-one calls where you can book a call with people like myself to essentially be able to steer in the right direction, answer any questions you have, and keep you moving with AI. So with that, let's jump back to, this is the general skill. You can see it's got these steps to go through to essentially process, understand what's in my inbox, and also what to do with it after the fact. And you can see now that we are going through and it's looking and picking out these different threads that are in my inbox at the moment. It's gone through, understands those. Now through the MCP connector, it's connecting to my Airtable, which is this here, where it's going through and seeing what's already been recorded and whether or not these are new activities to add, or if they've been added before, in which case we can ignore them for now. So as that continues to go through, I'm gonna jump back across and you can see that usually we would run registers in Excel and they look fairly similar. One of the main benefits to running a tool like Airtable, and there are other structured databases that you can use, is one, they are structured, which means it's much more efficient for Claude to be able to search and find information. The second is it's relational. So you can link like the RFI register, the RFIs to the projects in here as well. You can link the people associated with different projects. Essentially, you can create a number of smart links, which means that everything can be bundled together. And what that ultimately means is because it's structured, it becomes very easy to essentially produce a viewer on this. Now, you can do this inside of Airtable with interfaces, but I prefer to do it in either in Claude Code because it's actually super easy to create exactly what you want. Now, this is something that I've brought up very quickly, and I'm going to be refining this for our community and Contractor OS. And this is going to form what is going to be a much larger portion of our essentially operating system that we're building. And it's going to be a number of these that come together. Fundamentally, what it is you have your context in the form of your project files, whether it's in SharePoint, Google Drive, anything along there, that is your context. Then you have what requires some structured databases, things like your registers, maybe you have production rate libraries, anything that can fit within there sits within something like Airtable, Supabase, a structured database that Claude can access. Then the third aspect of that is the workflows that build up your business, essentially, of which the correspondence ingest is a workflow that utilizes the context along with your structured databases to be able to produce you a workflow that you can keep up to date much easier. And then on top of all of that, we can build things like these dashboards. And now, because everything is run and based off Airtable, we can actually go in here and let's select the project you want to view. For now, let's go with the Papa Mora one, and that's going to bring up the items that need my attention today, as well as we can see a rough check. Now, I'm going to do a lot of changes to this dashboard in terms of how I want it set out. The good thing is that is relatively easy with Claude Code, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to show you the concept of how you can use these, and you can essentially formulate these dashboards, which are really just viewers of your information that even like would normally live in an Excel sheet that you forget about and you really don't like looking at, to give you somewhere you can go to actually keep track of the work that you do. So let's go into this extension of time claim, and we can see we can update the statuses. We can see what ball and court it is. At this point, it's with the engineer, so not something I have to worry about at the moment. You can see the attachments, the original message as well. You can also open it in Airtable if you really wanted to, but this allows you to keep track of your correspondence really easily, and providing a section for you to essentially come in and look at that. So I love using these dashboards. I have them in my own business for a number of things because it gives me a clear way to see what I need to be working on and what position things are at, as well as I can go back through and actually view the original data as well. So that's the concept of a dashboard. Again, if you want access to these dashboards, I'm building in a number of these for the Contract OS community. So jump in there and send me a message and I can get you this across so you can see what's going on. Again, you can build in these different views that actually make sense for you as well. So one thing that I think is going to be a big bonus coming forward, as well as we all know when we've come off a phone call and I really should record that. Now you can, and you simply go in here, you can select the type it is, the project very easily. And I would use Whisperflow to essentially talk through what has just happened, and then I can log it and get that submitted as well. So it becomes part of the overview for a project, and I can see what I'm doing for my day. So really, really cool. I highly recommend having a play around with that. And if you want to jumpstart, then I'd love to see you in the community and we can help you out there. So let's check back in on how we're going in terms of the correspondence updates. So you can see that it has gone through and reviewed the messages that are in there, the threads, what it's found. It's given us a summary of that. You can see it's picked up that this is a duplicate that has been registered before, which is great. And so we've got one update going in and one note that's going in there too. So super easy. This can run every day and keep this up to date, as well as we can come through here and actually take a look at what has come through for the day, just to double check that our register is being maintained as possible. This is particularly important when at the start of running these workflows, so that you know that it's actually doing what you want. And in this case, it's flagged this one as a low confidence run, given that it hasn't got the information that it originally wanted. Now I can simply go through here and say, yeah, this is actually the space that I want it to be saved within, clear review, and it's logged in Airtable, and now it can become part of the overall tracking system where we have our correspondence tracker so we can keep up to date today. And the use of a dashboard is really to make sure that we actually use the registers and keep up to date. So that's it now. I've seen that this is working. It's updated how I liked. Now we'll go through and I'll see it at 4 a.m. in the morning. I won't see it then. I will check on it afterwards to make sure it has been run, and we can go through and keep a track of that. But there's a number of workflows that you could run like this every day that can update registers to take that load off your plate. And there's a number of ways to capture them as well. One of my favorite ones is actually having a project email that you CC into every message that you would like logged, and have Claude run through that inbox at the end of every day as well. So whereas if you're the project manager or you manage all the projects for your company, then you can just run it through your own one as well. There are a number of ways to do it. Again, if you want to know how to get this set up, then jump on a one-on-one inside the community with myself and we can run through that together. Now, that is how I see AI being able to help with keeping everything up to date, so that you know what you need to be working on and you don't get to next week and realize you forgot to respond to that RFI and all of a sudden the superintendent is calling you asking what was the outcome of that as well, because that is never a good position to be in. And this is exactly how I think AI can help in that process as well. And what's important is building out that workflow that works for you. So that's it for today's video. I'd love to see you inside the community so we can get something like this up and running for you as well. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.